Okay, good afternoon. So first, I briefly recapitulate what we have discussed yesterday. So yesterday we have started unit number 1, and yesterday we have discussed very basic topic that is functional unit. So in functional unit, we have seen 5 different functional unit in computer. We know these are the 5 unit. If you see generally you will find these are the 5 unit in the computer, like input unit, output unit, memory, arithmetic logic unit, and the control unit. So yesterday actually we have seen what is the instruction, machine instruction, what is the data. Actually the instruction and data is same because the computer understand only 0 and 1. We have seen what is the input unit, what are the different components comes in input unit, keyboard, mouse, joystick, trace ball, etc., etc. We have discussed output unit as well. We have seen how actually your computer sends 0 and 1 in the form of signal. So we have discussed various line coding scheme. By the line coding scheme, we can send our data in the coded form, like in the form of 0 and 1, the binary. We have discussed output unit. In output unit, there is a monitor, printer comes in the output unit. In memory unit, we have seen there is a primary memory and a secondary memory. Arithmetic logic unit, which is short form is ALU, which process your data, and the control unit. To control all these different components, the control unit is there. Okay, so yesterday we have discussed the first topic, that is very simple. Okay, just I have to verify I'm audible. Am I audible? Am I audible, dear students? Kindly acknowledge so that I will start today's topic, the second topic. Kindly acknowledge through the chat box. Yes, yes. Thank you all. Okay, so we'll start our second topic, that is architecture and organization. So in architecture and organization, as our name, the subject name is computer architecture and organization. So in today's topic, you will come to know what is exactly what is architecture and what is organization, and why the subject name is given, that is computer architecture organization. So why these 3 words are there, right? So yesterday we discussed about the computer. So in computer, what are the units are there and their functioning. Now today we will discuss what is the architecture and what is a organization. Okay. So architecture is those attributes visible to the programmer. So in architecture covers different attributes that are visible to the programmer. So in this subject, you will find all these things we are going to cover in the subject, like the architecture as well as the organization. So in architecture, actually it is the lower level concept. Why it is a lower level concept? Because it included the instruction set, the number of bits used for data representation, input-output mechanism, addressing technique. So all these are the lower level concept. So these things comes under the architecture. For example, instruction set, it means, for example, suppose if you want to multiply, and if you are a programmer, So what the definition suggests, architecture is those attributes which are visible to the programmer. And now if you want to multiply, what you should know, what are the instructions are available for the multiplication, right? So these things comes under the architecture, that is the instruction set, the instruction for the multiplication. So is there a multiply instruction? Is there a multiply instruction? Is there a multiply instruction? So these things is comes under the architecture. So actually, the second thing is organization. Organization means how, and architecture means what. Architecture means what are the things available. If you want to perform any task in the program, what are the instructions are available. So you are not aware of how actually it is implemented. But only the thing is, what are the things are available in the program. If you want to multiply, what is instruction is available. So mainly the architecture is related with what, and organization is related or main concern with how. Organization means is how features are implemented. So suppose the multiply instruction is there, but how it is implemented. So it comes under the organization. So how actually it is executing, like the control signals required, interfaces in between the different component, memory technologies used, it comes under the organization. So is there a hardware multiply unit, or is it done by repeated addition? Actually, how this multiplication instruction is implemented, this part comes under the organization, how it is implemented. So it is very simple to understand. Architecture means what, and organization means how. The same concept you can understand with one analogy. The analogy is like, suppose if you are want to buy a house. So for in a house, you will find there is architecture and organization. And for the house, what is the architecture? Architecture means how many bedrooms are there, uh, area of a house, the terrace is there, terrace garden is there, how many rooms are there, the bathroom are attached or not, the water supply is available in bathroom, balcony, as well as terrace for water gardening. So all this comes under the architecture. It means what are the things that are available, right? So you are not bothering about actually how you are getting a water. Only the things, yes, the bathroom, the pipe connection is available. Yes, water is available in the bathroom, on the terrace. So that is the architecture. And what is the organization? Organization means how actually you are getting water in the bathroom and on a terrace, how actually pipelining is there, connection is there. So it comes under the organization. So if you will, as I discussed earlier, the architecture means the lower level. So organizational means the higher level. So actually it is little confusing, because how means we are going in detail, how we actually implemented, but it is the higher level concept and architecture is lower level concept. Okay. The next is that is a structure and function. Structure and function. So actually now we'll discuss what is exactly structure and what is a function in computer system. So because If you want to understand a computer, so computer is a complex system. So how you can understand any complex system? Either by using top-down approach or bottom-up approach. But these are the two ways by which we can understand any complex system. Top-down approach, it means, first, for example, there is a computer is there. So what you will do, you will open a CPU and then you will look inside what are the different components are there. Okay, so there is a memory unit, there is a processor is there, there is a secondary memory, there is a control unit. So these are the different components are there. Then you will open, separate out this component. Then you will open the one part that is a processor and you will look inside the processor. So what is this? This is a top-down approach. And bottom-up approach means we are going from bottom to the top. It means first you are looking what is inside the processor, and then you are coming to the processor, and then you are coming to the CPU. So that is a top-down and bottom-up approach. By this way, actually, we can understand any complex system. So the hierarchical nature of complex system is essential to both their design and their description. So even in our software implementation, we use hierarchical nature to understand any system, as well as to design a system, we use this hierarchical nature. Even if you are doing a testing on a software, that time also we follow this hierarchical nature, that is top-down approach and bottom-up approach. Because the complex system, we have to elaborate, this divide into a different parts, and we have to understand by these approaches. So hierarchical nature we use to understand a complex system. Now we'll see what is a structure and what is a function. Come to our main point, that is our topic, that is a structure. What is a structure? Structure is the way in which components relate to each other. So simple. So building structure means how many rooms are there and how these rooms are connected with each other. That is a building structure. Similarly, the structure. How the different components are related to each other. And what is a function? Function means is the operation of individual components as a part of the structure. Operation of individual component as a part of the structure. Now, in detail, we will discuss what is a structure and function. So function means the operation of individual. For example, memory unit is there. What is a function of memory unit? To store the data. That is the operation. So that comes under the function. So top-down. Am I audible? Student, kindly acknowledge, am I audible? Because meanwhile there is a call, it might be muted. Okay, thank you. So actually, the top-down approach is effective approach. So in this topic, to understand the computer system, we are also going to use a top-down approach, which is the clearest and most effective way to understand a computer system. So what is a structure? Structure means how many components are there and how the components are relate to each other. And what is the function? Function means the operation of individual component. That is the function. Operation of individual component. So function. So, so in a computer, there is a different components. Function means how the component function. So in computer function, there is a different types of units are there, like processor. So data processing. So data processing process a different forms of data. So processor, what is the function of processor? It processes a different types of data. So tell me, what are the different types of data Okay. No, I am here because today actually I am delivering a session through mobile phone, and this app I am using first time. So it happened. But kindly acknowledge what are different types of data the computer process. Kindly acknowledge through the chat box. Different types of data. You acknowledge in a chat box a different types of data process in a computer. So as we know, the computer process a different types of data. That data could be the image, it could be the audio, video. So there is a different types of data. So the processor has to process a different forms of data. Data storage, again, yesterday we have seen in for the data storage, there is a different types of memory available, like primary and the secondary. And both the types of memory having a different purpose. For the short term and long term data storage. Yesterday we have discussed like the RAM is a short term data storage and hard disk is a long term data storage. The third thing is that is the data moment. So data moment is required as you are submitting a data from the input unit, it will store into the memory. And again, after processing, it will display. So data moment is there and control of these above three different functions. So all are these are the function. Function means the operation of individual component. So the processor, what are the operation of processor? It processor data. What are the operation of memory unit? It store the data for the short term or long term duration. What are the operation of the interconnection? That is the data movement. What are the operation of control unit to control of these different functions? Okay, so this is the function. So broadly, if you see the function view here, here is a different types of components are there, like a data storage facility is there, control mechanism is there, data processing facility is there, data movement uh, apparatus is there. So here actually these are the different components are there, and these different components perform a different types of operation. So this is a functional view, a component performing a different types of operation. Now in operation, suppose if we have seen a different types of operation or the function like data processing, data movement, control. So like one is like a data movement. In data movement, here if you will observe, simply the data is transferring, sorry, from one peripheral or communication line to another. Simply a data is moving from one peripheral to the another peripheral. That is a data movement. Second one is a storage. In storage, a data is movement is there. So either data is coming from the external environment to the computer and it will store into the hard disk, or data is, so that is a data storage. So transfer from external environment to the computer storage. This is one kind of operation. Third one is like a processing. So in the processing, how the processor get the data. So for example, if you want to zip a data, compress a data, so you use a zip or WinRAR to compress the data. So what you will do, you will take a file from the hard disk and the processor compress the data and again store the same file into your hard disk. So the same kind of operation you could see here, like a processing, data movement is there as well as data storage is there. So operation means a function. The next operation like a processing from storage to input output. Now here, data in route between external environment to storage. So many times you use a website, sorry, no, from the website you download the data. So data is downloaded in a zip format and again it is extracted. So data movement is from the external environment and it is in the zip form. So processing is required, and after processing data stored into your hard disk. So that is a one kind of operation. So we have discussed four types of operation in a function. These four operation like data processing, data storage, data movement, and the control. So these function you could see here how actually data movement in between the one peripheral to another peripheral, data storage is there. This is one kind of function of the computer. We have to store the data. Again, the processing is there. We have to process on the data, and how the control unit is required. Even the data is coming from the external environment. After processing, it will store into the storage. So all comes under the function. Okay. So this is a function. Function means the operation of component. And what is a structure? Structure means the how the different components are interconnected. So before to start this topic, I told you there is a two approach to understand a complex system. And we are going to understand a complex system in this subject, that is a computer. So to understand a computer, there's a two approaches are there, that is top-down approach and bottom-up approach. So here we are considering a top-down approach. In top-down approach, structure is like first you will see the computer, then you will open a computer and you will see what are the components are there. Again, you will open one component separately and to understand the component like that. Okay, so here we are using a top-down approach. Now first we'll see the computer. In a computer, what are the different components are there? So in the computer, you will find there is a central processing unit, CPU is there, again main memory is there, input output unit is there, and the system interconnection in which are connecting these different components. So at the top level, you will find these are the different components and these components are interconnected with each other. Now, what is a CPU? CPU, we know it is a central processing unit which control the operations of a computer and perform a data processing. So main task of the CPU is to control the operations, uh, operations of a computer and data processing. That is the CPU. And what is the main memory? Main memory is used to store the data. Input output devices is there like a keyboard, the monitor. So it moves the data between computer and its external environment. Like from the uh, keyboard, you can submit a data external environment to the computer, and after processing, the computer display your data to the external environment through the monitor or the printer. I/O devices, you can say. The system interconnection, a connection in between CPU, main memory, and input-output unit. So broadly, you could understand computer at the top level approach. Now, if you will open the first component, that is the CPU. So in CPU, you will find there is again a different component. So in CPU, there is a control unit is there for the controlling. Again, there is a registers are there, and ALU is there. That is arithmetic logic unit. So in CPU, these are the different components and it having its own function. So structure means how many components are there and how they are related to each other. So these are the different components. And what is the function of a control unit? So the control unit control the operations of CPU. Yesterday we have discussed the control unit is required to control a different operation of the computer. How actually your data can move from input device to the processor, and after processing it will display to the monitor. We have to control all these operations. So this is the job of control unit. So to control the operations of CPU. ALU, arithmetic logic unit, by the name only we can easily understand it is used to process a data. Even we can perform arithmetic and logical operation with the ALU. So the ALU. Then the registers. Register provide storage internal to the CPU. So even though there is a RAM is there, but still the registers are required because which are very faster than the hard disk, and these registers are more faster than your RAM. So on CPU, you will find there is a register to hold a value while it performs arithmetic operation. So you will find these registers are there, ALU is there, control unit is there, and obviously there is interconnection required among a different component. So CPU interconnection means a mechanism provide for the communication. So these different components communicate with each other. Now there is a second component, that is a control unit. So in control unit, there is a three different components are there, like sequencing, login, control unit registers and decoders, and control memory. So for to control the different components, again, uh, there is a different components are required. In detail, we will discuss how the control unit perform a different types of operation. So by using like the top-down approach, we can understand the structure and function. Okay. So today we have discussed two topics, two concepts, that is what is architecture and organization. Architecture means what and organization means how. Architecture means those attributes which are visible to the programmer, like instruction set, number of bits used for data representation, that comes under the architecture. And organization means how actually the instruction set implemented, means control signal is used, interfaces in between the different component, memory technology, it comes under the organization. Then we have seen the structure and the function. Structure means is the how the components are related to each other, and function means is the operation of individual components. So if there is a three components are there and they are interconnected each other, what are the operation of individual component? It comes under the function. So first we have seen the function, like the processor and the memory unit. What are their function? To process a data, a different form of data. It could be the image, audio, video, and storage means to store the data for the short term and long term, data movement and control. The same thing we have seen by the diagram, how actually we process the data movement is there, and data storage is there. As well, we have seen the structure by using a top down approach. We can understand a different components, how the components are related to each other in a structure. So by this top down approach, we can understand the computer. Okay. So here we stop for today's session. Uh, shouldn't wait. I have to capture. Your attendance.